Today's lesson, problem solving, is looking for a pattern. It is the fifth lesson in topic 1 of 4th grade Envision. The guiding question for this lesson is, how can understanding patterns help you with math? The vocabulary for this lesson is as follows. Please copy these terms and their meanings down in box 1 of your homework sheet. Let's begin with the problem-based interactive learning. You need to complete this problem in box 2 of your homework sheet independently now. You may pause the video. Let's begin. Charlie is researching the cost of going to the movies with 4 of his friends. It costs one person $16, 2 people $22, 3 people $28, and 4 people $34. If this pattern continues, how much would it cost for all 5 people to go to the movies? So I'm going to begin by underlining the key information inside the problem. I know the question asked me about the cost. So I'm going to underline that information in the problem. Okay, now I'm going to pull that information out of the problem and I'm going to list it below. Okay, 16, 22, 28, and 34. These are the prices for the people to go to the movies. Now the question that we have is asking us about the last cost. This is the one that we don't know. So what I'm going to begin by doing is I'm going to begin by looking at the first two. I always begin here so I can see if the numbers are increasing or decreasing. 16 to 22 is increasing because the second number is larger than the first number. That is an increase. If I look to the next two numbers, 22 to 28, I also see that the numbers are increasing. 22 is less than 28, so they're increasing, and also increasing from 28 to 34. So I know that this mystery number, or the price for 5 people, is going to be larger. So all across the numbers are increasing. Now I need to figure out increasing by how much. I can figure this out in 2 ways. I can count up from 16 to 22, or I can subtract the smaller number from the larger number, and that would tell me what the increase is. And so that would look like this. I'm going to do it over here, 22 minus 16, and I would need to regroup because I can't take away 6 from 2, so that 2 becomes 1. Okay, 6 from 12 is 6. So I know that from 16 to 22 is increasing, adding 6. So now I need to start with 22, and I need to add 6 to see if I get 28. So 22 plus 6, 6 and 2, 6, 7, 8, and bring down the 2, and I do get 28. So this is also increasing by 6. Now I need to continue the pattern to check to make sure that the pattern does not change. So all because it is plus 6 in the first two does not mean it's plus 6 all the way across. So make sure that that you continue the pattern all the way across. So I'm just going to add it down here. Plus 6. 6 and 8 is 14. 2 and 1 is 3. And that is what I got here, increasing by 6. And so I'm going to add 6 to 34. And 6 and 4 is 10. 3 and 1 is 4. So the number for 5 people, if I add 6 to 34, would be $40. So the answer to this problem is $40. And that's how you use patterns to help you solve problems. Let's look at the next one. Here we have a shape pattern. Now when I have a shape pattern, what I like to do is I like to use a strategy of either assigning letters or numbers. it is easier to figure out what the missing shape is, or what shape comes next, if you have letters or numbers. So for this purpose, I'm going to use U for up, the arrow pointing up. And then I'm going to use R for the arrow pointing to the right. And what letter do you think I'm going to give to this one? Yep, D for down. And it doesn't matter which one you use, as long as you're consistently using the same letters all the way across. This one is pointing to the left, so I'm going to use an L. Good. And this one is pointing up, so I'm going to use a U and then an R. So what comes after the R? So all I have to do is I have to look way over here, and I can see that the missing letter is D. U-R-D-L, U-R-D, and if I wanted to, L. So I need to draw an arrow pointing down, and that's the shape that comes next in the pattern. So that's how understanding patterns helps you to solve problems, knowing that in a pattern repeats. The unit, this is the unit right here. The unit is the first set. This unit repeats. So we would need to repeat the unit again. And that's how you use patterns to solve problems. So let's take a look at the guided practice. Julia is printing files. The first file is 2 pages. The second file is 4 pages. The third file is 6 pages. And the fourth file is 8 pages. If this pattern continues, how many pages will be in the 8th file? So let's begin by underlining the key information in this problem. I'm going to just underline just as few things as possible, because if I underline too much, then the information doesn't stick out. The second is 4. Third is 6. And the fourth, oops, sorry about that, is 8. Now we need to continue this pattern all the way up to the 8th. Now what I'm going to choose to do is I'm going to choose to number and make like 2 columns. And that'll help me figure out, instead of doing it in a row, I'm going to go down in columns. So it starts with, I need to go to the 8th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I know for the first file it's 2 pages. The first is 2. The second is 4. The third is 6. And I noticed a pattern that it's adding 2, because 2 and 2 is 4, and 4 plus 2 is 6. And this is 8, so 6 and 2 more. Sometimes the pattern jumps out at you right away. You're counting by 2s. Sometimes it does not, so you would need to look at the first 2. In that case, that would help. But in this case, the pattern probably jumped out at you right away. So if I add 2 more to 8, I get 10. And this one would be 12, because I'm adding 2 more. And this would be 14, because I'm adding 2 more. And lastly, the 8th file would have 16, because I'm adding 2 more. So as you can see, it helps to understand that a pattern continues all the way across, so that you're adding either the same amount or you're repeating the unit over and over. So for independent practice, you are going to do the following: 4, 5, 6, and 7. Please do this in box 3 of your homework sheet. And to connect to the concept, I would like you to tell me where in the real world you see patterns. An example of this would be, sometimes I see a pattern on my shirt. I might have a striped pattern. What are some patterns that you see? Just list 3. Thank you. And if you have any questions or comments, please bring them to class tomorrow. Thank you and good night.